This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, and welcome to the next installment of the 10 things you should be doing if you have a family member with intellectual developmental disabilities. Today, we're going to be talking about planning for your own retirement. So let's get started. This is slide number 3 for those of you that following along with the original 10 things to do, and this should be released on Friday. So most of us can't/won't work forever. I know many of us who have children with disabilities believe that we're going to work, or may say that we're going to work forever, but the reality is, whether because we want to or we just can't find somebody to hire us or our bodies don't let us, we're going to have to stop working. And it's better to plan for stopping working on your own terms rather than being forced out of the workforce and not having a plan B. For those of you who have been laid off because of the coronavirus, many of you understand what I'm talking about and the concerns that come with what are you going to do when you're not making the money that you were expecting. So we're going to review how to figure out how much money you're going to need and then get an estimate for how much you're going to be saving. I'm going to walk through a very basic calculation. It's not perfect. It doesn't take everything into account. It doesn't preclude you from talking to a financial advisor, or if you have consulted with an advisor or a financial planner, don't take whatever I'm giving you today over their advice. So as I said, we don't want to work until you die. So let's calculate what's your monthly need. So we're going to plan on your monthly expenses, right? So for this exercise, we're going to say your expenses, including mortgage, are $3,000 a month. If you're in the DC metro area, New York, Southern California, you're probably paying much more than this. If you're in the Midwest or Central US, this is probably pretty accurate. But for the sake of this exercise, just bear with me. You can use your own numbers when if you know what they are. If you don't know what they are, go back to the presentation that I did with slide number 2 to create your spending plan and figure out what your expenses really are. So you know your expenses. What's your income going to be? Many of us probably don't have a pension. It's just going to be Social Security. You can figure out your Social Security benefit by going to socialsecurity.gov. They don't mail the flyers anymore. Most of us have to log in and look. $1,500 is the average. It's really $1,503 rounded down. So it's $1,500 is the average. If you wait until full retirement age, you're probably going to get more than that. If you wait until age 70 to collect, then you're going to get 24% above and beyond what you would get at full retirement age. Full retirement age depends on when you were born, but for most of us for most of us who have transition age children between the ages of 14 and 21, our full retirement age is going to be 67. So what's the remaining need? Well, you're going to take your income of $1,500 from Social Security, subtract your expenses of $3,000, which means you're going to have $1,500 a month shortage you're going to have to make up. So what's your that's your monthly. Now, how much do you totally need? Well, assuming that you retire at 67 and you die at 79, which is the average human lifespan, you have 22 years where you have to fund retirement. And retirement can be in air quotes because maybe you do some work or whatever, but we're assuming you're not going to do any work, not going to have any other additional income coming in. This is what you have to do. So then we said the shortage is $1,500 a month, which is $18,000 annually. So then you take the annual shortage times the years until death, and it works out to be about $396,000. You could round it up to $400,000 if you wanted to. For the exercise, I'm just keeping it at $396,000. So now what? We've determined that you need at least $396,000, not including what would be coming out of taxes. So we have to know how much you're making. What's your annual income? We're going to assume, for purposes of this example, it's never going to increase. Hopefully that's not the case. I'm using the median US income, which is $61,000. It's actually a little higher than that, but I'm rounding down for simple math. We're going to say you have 30 years until retirement, because we'll say you retire at 67. That means you're currently 37. So we'll just say, assuming 30 years until retirement. Again, you can substitute your own numbers. Your total shortfall is 396,000, which means you need to save $13,200 a year, which is just 396 divided by 30. If you want to know what that works out to be, it means you have to save about 21% of your check per month if you're making $61,000 a year. It works out to be $1,100 a month, $13,200 divided by 12. That's a lot of money. It's unlikely that many of us are going to be able to save 21% of our income, because we're probably barely getting by. But if you're putting 5% away and your employer's matching 5%, now you're saving 10%. If you're not putting 5% away and your employer offers you 5%, even though you're not taking it, go ahead and get that 10%, because 10% is better than zero and gets you closer to that number that you need. Now, there are some issues with the formula that I just gave you. One, it doesn't take into consideration for taxes. When we go back to taking money out, let's say you have $400,000 saved in an investment account, a 401k or an IRA. Well, they're going to take out income taxes when you withdraw that money. If you have a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, it's not going to take out income taxes, which is a benefit to using the Roth. It also doesn't take into account living longer or stopping work younger. We don't know what's going to happen with our health. I'm a good example of that. I just had cancer surgery. I had surgery to remove a malignant melanoma on my face. That could have taken me out. It could have gotten much worse. It didn't, thankfully, but nothing's promised. Age 79 is a pretty young age to plan for when you're doing financial planning. Most financial advisors are going to want to plan until 90 or 100. So when you're doing your own numbers, think about your family history. Do the men in the family die young? Do they live long? Same with the women, depending on your gender. If you have a history of heart disease, diabetes, and it's all genetic, there's a good chance you may get the crapshoot. You may get the roll of the dice where your genetics aren't in your favor. But if your family has a history of people dying young because of environmental, perhaps they were smokers, heavy drinkers, things like that, and you live a much healthier lifestyle, you can plan to be living a lot longer. The bottom line is, you need to figure out for yourself how old you're going to be when you die, and it's better to plan to live a longer life than to plan to live a shorter life just to make the numbers work. As I alluded to, the Social Security amounts are going to vary based on when you file. The older you can wait, the better. If you take Social Security at 62, you're reducing your income by 48% or more. It's 8% a year, 40%, right? So, and then it's an additional 8% if you wait from your full retirement age, which for this purpose we're using 67 to age 70. So if you delay from 62 to age 70, you could increase your Social Security by 76%. That's a lot of money. In simple terms, if your benefit's going to be $1,000 at age 62, it will be $1,760 at age 70. That's a lot of money to leave on the table if you're looking at taking it early. So really, I encourage people to take it at least at full retirement age. If they can delay, take it at age 70. I'm only assuming one income source. I'm not assuming things like pensions, or for those of us that are retired veterans that have a pension and a VA disability, or married. If you have two spouses, if you have two people living together and sharing incomes, then your Social Security would be, you'd have, instead of $1,500 using the average, you'd have $3,000, and maybe you wouldn't need any additional unless you're planning for one of you dying. The big thing to remember is, When you have a household and your household expenses are $5,000 because you're married, that doesn't mean the household expenses are going to go all the way down to $2,500 if one of you dies. It's much more likely that you're going to drop by about a third. So you can plan to go from $5,000 to maybe $3,600, $4,000 when when one of you two dies. So don't plan on it being an exact 50-50. Rather plan to need additional money when one of you dies. The point of that is when you're looking at how much income you need, if you're not sure you're going to have enough to provide for yourself on your own after your spouse dies, then look at getting a life insurance policy to make up the difference. And that's where a financial advisor can help you get into it, because it can get pretty complicated. And this is not designed for legacy planning, providing for children or your spouse when you're gone. So this is the short, sweet overview of how to get a quick snapshot. How much money do I need when I retire? It's not meant to be the end all be all. It's just meant to get you thinking and give you a little basic overview, a very basic overview of how to calculate it. I hope you found this helpful. There will be more to follow in the coming weeks. Thank you.